We are here at the Center for History of Psychology at the University of Akron, and we're talking to Kathy Fay. Kathy, thanks for letting us come in today.
Hey, thanks for coming down.
Now, why did all this start? It started back in 1965, right?
1965, that's right. Essentially, there were a couple psychologists here at the University of Akron who went, no one is collecting the historical record of psychology. No one's collecting documents, no one's collecting objects, and there's this really rich history of this field. We can do that. They were teaching the history of psychology course, and that's sort of what got them interested in the historical record of psychology. So in 1965, Dr. John Popplestone decided to get the archives going, the archives of the history of American psychology. Just started collecting the papers, correspondence, early book drafts, these kinds of things of famous psychologists, and depositing them in an archives right here at the University of Akron.
So this is more than just a museum, as you've had a lot of displays here. This is an active archive. People come here from all over to study the papers you've collected.
Yes, we have researchers who come from around the world, really, to come and study the historical record of psychology here. We are probably the only archives devoted completely to the history of psychology in North America, and one of the largest in the world for sure. So we have scholars that come from everywhere. The museum itself only opened in 2010, so it's a pretty new addition to the Center for the History of Psychology, and we like to think it's a pretty fabulous addition.
So originally it was only an archive where
yes.
people could come in and see what you had and examine, and where do all the papers and everything come from in the studies? Where did they come from?
Everything is donated to us. We don't purchase anything. So psychologists, when they're ready to pass their records on, or they're moving out, they're retiring, they pass away, those records then come to us by the family or from a psychologist themselves. A lot of the objects are donated from other places that hold the papers of famous psychologists, but they don't have a museum, and they're not quite sure what to do with the actual objects, so they're sent our way, and we house those artifacts.
And the museum started when?
2010.
2010. And now, how many times have the archives been moved around campus?
A number of times. I think the running count is now around 4 moves. So we started out in a very, very small space and gradually gained a little more space across the university. We moved into this building in 2010, which is when we created the museum.
The roadway building?
The roadway building, yeah. It was donated to us by Yellow Roadway. And this building is 70,000 square feet. Our previous space, which was in the basement of the old Polsky department store in downtown Akron.
Where the other archives are.
Yes. We had about 10,000 square feet there. So we've really maximized
So you've got to get a bunch more donations now, right?
We definitely do. We have 70,000 square feet. Unfortunately, we can't use it all because it's not renovated. So we have an ongoing campaign to try to expand the center. And one of the things that will happen in that expansion is the museum itself will be expanded considerably and will take up an entire floor of this very large building. So
now is it all paper archives, or do you have film and sound recordings and everything else?
Yeah, you name it, we've got it. So we have, we estimate around 12,000 moving images, reels of film basically, from the history of psychology, and that includes everything from home movies of Sigmund Freud to footage of rats running around in mazes doing various experiments. We have a lot of still images, photographs, that kind of thing. We have things that people don't think of. We have clothing. We have the christening gown of a famous psychologist. So a lot of things. Abraham Maslow's doctoral hoods. These kinds of things. Materials, pretty much in every shape and form you can think of. We have those kinds of.
And so when you get too big for this building, what do you do?
Oh, that's a good question. We build on, we add on, right?
Hey, again, I want to thank you for letting us come in and play a little bit. And we have a great time here, and we're looking forward to inviting everybody down to look at the actual museum part. Not everybody can get into the archives. Yeah,
you have to make an appointment to visit the archives, but everyone is welcome. You just have to make an appointment. And the museum, we're happy to say, is free. So come on down.
And that's my favorite price. Back to the show.